Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have so much love for you.
Our unconditional love to you as well, and all of you.
Thank you. You have been my teacher in the past 5 years of my life, ever since I felt like I woke up in a different reality and my perception changed.
Oh, all right.
You were by my side and all the sessions, so thank you so much. What do you do, what Darryl and the whole crew does through all these years.
All right.
It's amazing to be here.
Thank you for applying the information to your own life and making a difference for yourself, because you're the one that has to do it. We can talk all day long, and if you don't apply the information, it will have no effect. Not that it must, because we do this and share all these ideas with you because it's our passion. None of you have to believe it. We would do it anyway, because our passion is not conditional on whether you do with it what we do with it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have a statement that is connected to 3 questions that I have.
All right.
The first one is when I feel, ever since I know you and I know your teachings, I feel like I communicate with you in different ways.
You communicate with your higher mind using my vibration as a permission slip to make it easier for you to do so.
Oh, great. Thank you. You absolutely anticipated my question, which was when I am in moments that I need an answer or I need clarity for certain situations,
Yes.
and I ask you or I try to connect with you
Yes.
to ask that question, I get an answer which is very
Yes.
much similar to your teachings are.
Exactly. It comes from your higher mind because that's the vibration frequency you operate on to connect with your higher mind. You see, this is what we're doing. We are functioning as a mask, getting you familiar with the vibration of your own higher mind in a specific way, along a specific frequency line. And so when you get used to asking us questions, we are in essence tricking you into getting answers from your own higher mind by thinking that it's us.
That's amazing confirmation, because I was pondering, is it Bashar, is it my higher mind, what it is playing?
Well, now you know.
I know, thank you. And in all this journey, kind of digging deeper, knowing myself and, applying all the teachings
Yes.
and transforming in a way, the way of perceiving this reality. I feel personally that I am ready to jump or make a change.
You're always making a change. What kind of change are you talking about?
In terms of what I do in my everyday career,
All right, well,
my
what would
work.
you rather be doing?
And I'd love to have a little bit more clarity from you, because I feel myself, I'm so spread in different ideas, and I feel very creative. I feel very passionate about...
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Just answer yes or no as quickly as you can. All right?
Yes.
Do you believe that your passion can support you? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Then is there anything that is making you hesitate to go in that direction?
The hesitation is I have so many, and...
So many what?
desires and passions, and I'm
Can you act equally on all of them?
on at least 2 of them.
If you can act equally on 2 of them and they contain a similar amount of passion, why not flip a coin? Why not? Because I'll tell you how it'll work. You will either reveal to yourself that one might actually be more representative than the other of your passion by flipping the coin and saying, all right, well, heads, I'll do A, tails, I'll do B. And then you flip the coin and it's tails and you go, oh, darn, I wish it had been A. Oh, I wish it had been A. Now you've clarified which one is actually more exciting. Or, if it really doesn't matter, this is where the organizing principle of synchronicity comes in. Because if it doesn't really matter which one you choose, then choose either randomly. It won't matter. Because if that isn't the path of least resistance for you at that moment, synchronicity will take you, pick you up, and turn you around to the other path automatically. Because it's the organizing principle. So if you can't tell the difference, it doesn't matter which way you start, synchronicity will guide you in the proper direction, whether it to be to continue or to turn around and go in the other direction. Synchronicity will be your guide.
Such a fascinating mechanism when you realize how that works. It's fantastic.
This is why we say it's so important to understand how reality works. That's why we remind you that all of these ideas we are sharing with you is not a philosophy. It's actually a description of how existence is structured, of how it actually functions. We are literally giving you an instruction manual for how reality works. Absolutely no different than being given an instruction manual to understand how to operate a piece of machinery. If you follow the instructions in the manual, the machine will operate to your benefit as advertised. If you throw the manual away or ignore the instructions, you might injure yourself, or the machine will not operate in the way that might be to your advantage. So if you understand that acting on your highest passion to the best you can, with no insistence on the outcome, activates all the tools in the kit, and it's a complete kit, leaves nothing out, will completely support you and open and function automatically, and then you remain in a positive state no matter what happens, knowing that it must be there for a positive reason to serve you somehow, you have the entire instruction manual. We can spend hours and days delineating the details of each of the instructions, which is what we've done for 35 of your years, but there are no more instructions in the manual. That's the entire instruction manual. It's that simple. So when you really understand it as an instruction manual, if you really understand it as a literal description of how existence is structured, how nature works, how your reality is built, all you have to do is follow the instructions, and it will work in your advantage as opposed to your disadvantage. Because remember, synchronicity can be positive or negative. Synchronicity never stops. It's not just synchronicity when something you like happens. Because if you are operating from a negative energy, you will get negative synchronicity to reinforce the negative experience. It never stops working. But when you use the instruction manual, it will work to your advantage, not to your disadvantage. Does that make sense?
Makes absolutely sense. And it's so funny how the obvious things, the easy things, are hard to understand sometimes.
That is the paradox of your reality, is that it really is far simpler than you think. Because you've been taught to believe that if it's not a struggle, it's not worthwhile. Yes, of course you will have challenges. Yes, of course you will do things physically and you will work. But also, as you say on your planet, a labor of love is no labor at all. By being in the moment and doing what you love, you will have the driving force, you will have the energy, you will have the passion to face the challenges, to do the work that needs to be done physically. But it will all be fun. That's the point. It will all flow. You will go with your flow. All of you have a current in creation. Don't resist it. Your current knows where you need to go. That's why you say go with the flow. It's your flow. Surrender is not surrendering control. Surrender is surrendering to the control that's already built into you, so that your physical mind doesn't have to work so hard to arrange all the pieces to make this happen and make that happen, or something will be wrong. It's looking at the big picture, and when looking at the big picture and staying in that state and going with the flow, you then see that the energy flows naturally together and all the pieces flow together and click in synchronicity. That's how it works. Yeah. So realize, yes, it is simpler than you think, and anything you experience as overwhelming, frustrating, resistance, or difficult is simply the product of a belief system you've bought into, and it doesn't have to be that way. Does that help?
It does. I have a very last question.
Yes.
In light of living the full potential as a human in this dimension, I have two very dear people in my life. One is a friend of mine that is named Rudy,
yes.
And another one is my dear brother. He lives in Europe, where my family is. My question is, do you have any help, any hint, any advice for each of them?
I just gave it to you.
They are searching.
I just gave it to you. I gave you the instruction manual. What more is there? If they are willing to understand the instruction manual, it will be of great help to them. If they're not, you have to allow them to live their own path. But that's the information that all of you can use to your benefit. There is nothing else. It's that simple. Don't overthink it.
It is.
Does that help?
Aveo.
Thank you, Aveo. For those that don't know, in my ancient language, Aveo loosely translates as thank you, but it actually means in service. Aveo. I am in service to you.
Hi, Bashar.
Anna,
How are
good
you?
day.
Good day. Are you here or are you in Sedona?
I am in my ship above Sedona. What is happening here is a vibrational linkage, you would call a telepathic connection, so that the thoughts that I am having are mirrored and translated by the channel's brain, who has altered his frequency to be something closer to mine, so that we start vibrating together in harmony like tuning forks, and you get a translation of my thoughts through his energy.
Wonderful. Okay, I have something to share. I went to India last December, and while in one of the temples in Khajuraho, I captured a portal.
Yes.
And there's a being that's observing us. I didn't realize I had captured it until I came back. How can I communicate with this being?
Do you remember what that felt like being there?
Yes.
Then you're in that vibration. It may not feel identical to what it felt like then, but remember, here's the trick. Do you understand the principle that you cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of first?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
All right. So if you can remember what that felt like when you were there, doesn't that mean you actually have to already be in that vibratory state in order to even be capable of having the memory?
Absolutely.
That's the trick.
Get it.
If you can remember it, it means you're already in the state.
So being in that state, I can also open up a dialogue
Yes.
with this being
Yes.
not being there and be receptive to communication.
You can ask your higher mind to help facilitate the connection if that helps you.
Okay.
But that's all it takes. I'm in the state because I'm remembering what it felt like to be in the state, so I'm in the state. I am allowing my higher mind to help facilitate anything I may need to allow my physical mind to be a better receiver of having this connection and communication with that entity that I perceived in that particular portal. Done! Then see what happens.
Thank you.
Simple as that. It can be as simple as that. Now, if you want to augment it with your own belief system, your own imagination, create a new permission slip for yourself to do so, then do what works for you. You can always augment the basic idea that we just shared with you because it needs to be designed uniquely for you. So if what we said works for you, that's fine. But if you find your imagination altering it, let it. Because it's telling you, your higher mind is telling you, you need a little more of this, maybe a little more of that for you. And that will work best for you, whereas a different alteration might work best for someone else.
It's beautiful.
Yes?
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Bashar, so you spoke about portals, and you described the energies behind the portals
Yes.
here on the West Coast. Can you tell me a little more about Sedona? I've driven through there numerous times, but what I want to know is, does the energy of what it provides, the ancestral energy, does it affect the person regardless of whether they're aware of that?
You're talking about ancestral energy. So are you referring to the idea of the portal in Santa Fe or
Yeah,
Sedona?
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And so your question with regard to the idea of the ancestral connection is what?
So I'm wondering if the energy that you described is transmitted through the Santa Fe portal, did it affect me even though I wasn't aware that it was even a portal?
Well, yes, of course. You don't have to have a completely conscious realization. If you find yourself winding up there synchronistically, then obviously there is a reason you're there. And of course, you are agreeing to create an effect in your life, whether you're conscious of it or not. But remember, again, these things are created in your energy by your own choosing. So it's not affecting you. You are choosing to match its frequency and affecting yourself just by being there.
Okay.
Even if you're not aware of why you're there or what's going on. In the same way that in these conversations we have with all of you, there is a component of this communication that you hear translated as words, but there are many other levels of communication going on between us right now. And a lot of it has to do with matching frequencies that we're giving off by altering the channel's electromagnetic field so that you can pick up on those vibrations that might be more representative of you being in more alignment with your higher self. You may not know you're doing this, but you are to some degree.
So when we have new understandings, when we do self-introspection, and we have new understandings, and the understanding is that there's positive energy and negative energy. Is it that the positive gets amplified and the negative, and it overwhelms the negative, or does it mean that the negative gets replaced?
The idea of an amplification of positive or negative can still be a magnification of the effect, but we're simply saying that mechanically speaking, positive energy is generally expansive and integrative and connective, whereas negative energy is generally diminishing and disconnective, segregative. Both of those can be magnified because both of them can be mirrored. But when we use the term amplification in terms of expansion, that's generally a positive trait. Does that answer your question, or is there something else you wanted to talk about here?
So if I realize through a new understanding of something, it puts me in a state of being that I feel is more positive.
Yes.
Is it that whatever I had in the way of having that understanding, some sort of negative belief, negative thinking, does that get completely erased and superimposed by the positive?
No. It actually makes you more aware of the negative, because that's the reflective mirror tool in the kit of passion, in the kit of excitement. Anything within you that's out of alignment, the positive energy, the more positive you are, will bring that to your attention more strongly, because the more positive you are, the easier it is to handle and transform the negative awareness. Because remember, as you expand your consciousness, you may experience negativity less, but you actually become more aware of negativity, because positive and negative and neutral exists on every single level of existence.
Okay.
So you become more aware of the probability that negativity is a choice. You simply get to a state where it doesn't make sense to choose it. But you don't invalidate it. You just realize that it's an equal choice you could make, and that you simply choose the positive because that's more in alignment with who you prefer to be. And the negative actually makes that easier, because in many ways it's easier to see the light when it's surrounded by darkness. Yes?
Yes.
So they work together that way.
Okay.
Now, also let us remind all of you that in general, these numbers are arbitrary, but in general, because the universe, the multiverse, creation, existence, is a trinity, not a duality, because there's always a center point, it is actually slightly biased in the direction of the positive, because a neutral center point allows you the freedom to choose, and that's a positive energy. So you could say that existence is actually, again, arbitrary numbers, but you get the point, 51% positive and 49% negative. That's why if you do nothing else but simply let go, the current of creation will generally tug you back in the positive direction. You actually have to fight against the current to continue to have negative experiences. That's called resistance to the flow, because the flow is generally positive. That's the urge, the magnetic pull you all feel to seek and discover and be who you are. It's that current flow toward integration and expansion and awareness. That's what drives you. Yes?
Good.
Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah, so let me ask you,
Yes.
for the most part, your message, the message you put out
Yes.
is definitely in the positive.
Yes. It's the instruction manual that allows reality to work to your advantage in a positive way. It's a description of how to stay in that state so that it is in alignment with who you truly are, rather than in misalignment.
So the people that attend here in person, they get affected not only by the message, but also by the energy of being here.
If they choose to match the frequency, yes.
Can you speak a little bit about the people who are out watching this through Ustream throughout the world, and they're watching it, but they're not here physically? How
It doesn't necessarily always matter, because again, they simply have the opportunity to match the frequency of the concepts that we're sharing with you, because the concepts themselves have frequencies. So while they may not literally physically be being bathed in the bubble of the electromagnetic field that contains that vibration, there are still electromagnetic fields being created as this information is transmitted through your technology to them, because remember, they're not hearing the original. It's translated into electrical impulses and translated back into acoustic ones for them to hear the words. But the electromagnetic impulses are still there and do, at least to some degree, carry the marker of those vibrations. Now, depending upon their relationship in their belief systems to the idea of physical distance, some of them may experience that vibration more and some may experience it less. But that's all based on their idea of what physical distance means. For those that might understand that physical distance is an illusion, they will experience the vibration as if they were here. For those that still have a sense of holding on to the concept of physical distance as something more remote, then they may alter the vibration to also represent the idea that they are in another physical location that's not as immediate as the one that you may be experiencing in our actual presence now. But that depends on the person.
Okay. Is there somewhere in Santa Fe thank you for that. Is there anywhere in Santa Fe that you would recommend some physical landmark that would be ideal to visit?
Yes, the park in the square.
The park in the square.
Yes.
Okay, great.
The center of town.
Okay.
The reason the center of town is there is because of the vortex.
Okay.
Yes?
Great, thank you.
Honorable say, let us continue with the transmission by continuing with your questions and dialogue, if you wish. And a good day.
I've recently, well, not recently, I've been experimenting with DMT.
Oh, all right.
And I've come to an understanding, but I needed confirmation from you. DMT is a portal to the template realm, correct?
The portal to?
The template realm?
Well, it's actually the portal to many different things. It depends upon the dosage.
Okay.
It'll take you to different states. It'll take you to different places. It'll open doors at different levels and have you interacting with different things. The dosages must be precise and matched to the different frequency levels in order for you to have the different experiences. One of them is definitely the template level, but not all of them.
Okay. And Ibogaine, is that a direct doorway to the higher mind?
No.
No, okay. I had a question about the Anunnaki.
Yes.
And Inky specifically.
Enki.
Enki.
Yes.
Sorry.
He's not Inky.
Yeah, Enki.
Enki.
Enki, okay.
Yes.
He engineered our species, correct? He specifically engineered our species? I was reading information.
Partly connected, partly responsible, partly involved, but not totally.
Okay, and I understand that we existed on, our consciousness existed on Mars previously to this
Long
life?
time ago in your terms of time, yes.
Right. Did the,
First Maldek,
right, first Maldek.
then Mars, then Earth, as in a sense the group souls moved through the system in different incarnational periods when each of those worlds was habitable.
Okay. And did the Anunnaki have anything to do with our engineering of our physical being on Mars
No.
and Maldek?
No.
Okay. And I was also, my last question is, I understand that the Sirius star system is gravitating towards our solar system. And I was wondering the spiritual meaning behind that.
Well, they are the higher mentorship. The idea of the connection between Earth and Essassani, my world, and Sirius is a triad. A triad mentorship. We're all climbing the ladder together, but we're at different levels on different rungs.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bashar.
Yes, thank you.
Much love.
And to you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My question is, sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Why?
I'm
You
not
mean
u-
excited?
I'm not used to talking in front of people,
Oh, what are you used to talking in front of?
talking to my friends.
There is nothing to fear.
One of my questions is, what is my Palladian self doing?
At this particular moment,
Yes.
you have five Pleiadian connections. One is teaching, one is traveling, one is waiting to meet a friend, one is involved in a very deep and complex research experiment, one is observing a particular civilization, deciding whether or not to make contact. Will that do?
Yes.
Anything else?
Nope.
Well, thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And you, good day.
So I know there's no like exact, precise future predictions, but I mean like in the midst of like following my passion and following, or what you'd say, greatest excitement.
Yes.
So I'm currently studying aerospace and aeronautical science, and I can't help but be curious if going and making our society or our civilization interplanetary is going to happen in my lifetime.
Open contact between your world and other worlds will generally begin in the window of 2025 to 2033, stretching to 2040, and definitely be very active by 2050. That's the window that exists as we read the energy now. That's the highest probability. It will begin slowly, sparse contacts here and there in remote places, but it will begin to build. And eventually, sometime within that window, before 2040, you will find that there will start to be sanctuaries on your planet where hybrid children will begin to live so they can acclimate to your society and allow your society to acclimate to them so that they can learn to live among you and you among them, and eventually in the blending between your species, allowing Earth to evolve into the sixth hybrid race. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Wow. One more question, more about when will we occupy Mars?
When will you occupy it?
Yeah, us humans.
You mean when will any human set foot on it?
Yes, any humans. I mean, I'd like to too, but I mean...
Generally speaking, most likely, certainly before 2035. It could happen sooner, but that seems to be the outside window.
Wow, thank you so much.
Well, I had nothing to do with it.
No, I mean, thank you, Bashar.
Yes, you're welcome.
Hello, Bashar.
And you, good day.
So you mentioned a civilization called Kachina. Is it Kachina?
Kachinas.
Kachinas.
Not exactly what you would call a civilization. They are a type of interdimensional being. They exist in a dimension that you would consider to be in between other dimensions, like the connecting network between dimensions. They live in that dimension. They are of spirit, but also of something slightly different than that. They are archetypal expressions, symbols, and reflections with autonomous consciousness that has to do with ancient times, ancient wisdom, eternity, and other kinds of ideas and energies, and many people can connect to them through different kinds of spiritual practices, especially those that have to do with connections to nature and the earth. So yes, what about them?
Okay. Yeah, just they sounded unique in the sense that you said intradimensional. So
Yes.
it's like the way they sit or the way they exist.
They exist in the borders between different dimensions, which is, as I said, a dimension unto itself, but a unique one, a different one.
Yeah, that's really interesting. In the past, I've heard you speak of another civilization, I guess is what I would say, but they're on they live on a planet or something like that that's in the Baroque, kind of like our Baroque period, or our, I'm trying to think of how I would describe that, but I don't know. I was wondering if you remember, or if
Speak up, speak up.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could remember or tell me the name of that civilization.
Again, your definition?
Yeah, they exist in like, they live out like their culture. It's very similar to our Baroque period.
Oh, you are talking about the civilization around Barnard's star.
That sounds close, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Their civilization in their evolution is similar to what you call your Renaissance era.
That's it, Renaissance. Okay.
Yes.
When we have, say, full disclosure or
Yes.
that, will we be able to interact with them?
Not for a while. You have to become more like us so that you can travel on your own to their solar system and become their UFOs. We are, in a sense, leaving their civilization alone so they can be one of the first interactions and contacts that Earth has of other civilizations, similar to the way that we contact other civilizations. So they are your test case.
Okay, cool. So my next question is about belief systems, I suppose.
Yes?
So I have a fear, and this fear, I'm not afraid of what happens after I die.
Yes.
I'm afraid of how I will die.
Well, how do you imagine that you will die that seems so fearful?
I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to die, so it scares me, the idea of, say, maybe pain or...
So you are saying that you simply prefer not to experience pain. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
That you would like to die simply and easily?
yeah.
All right, well then go ahead and do that.
Okay.
What is it that you believe will determine that transition?
Yeah, and I think that's maybe it, is that I think that it's set up for me. Like it's something that is inevitable, and when that happens,
So you understand that you set it up, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you believe that you chose a particularly nasty way to die?
Well, I see I don't think anyone comes in saying, I want to die like this.
Oh, but sometimes they do, because it depends on what purpose that serves. Now, yes, it's true, for the most part, people may forget that they have a choice and have made a choice, and so they may just simply let it run its course and experience the idea of pain. But since you're asking the question, that obviously means you have some conscious recognition that it's possible to change that. Yes? Or you wouldn't be asking the question. You wouldn't even consider the possibility that you might be able to consider something different. So the fact that you can ask the question is usually an indication that you can choose right now a way that would work better for you. Yes?
Yeah. Okay.
So how would you like to transition?
In my sleep.
Which means what?
Like
In your sleep, or floating in a pool, or...
like just peaceful, just like
Yes,
real
all
chill.
right.
Yeah.
Well, then again, there is nothing preventing that. If you believe that it doesn't really serve you, if there's no lesson to be learned that you can't learn in life by experiencing the idea of a painful transition, then there's no need to experience it that way. Yes? And remember, in that sense, death is really just like waking up from a dream, because physical reality is a dream. You do understand that you're in spirit right now, yes? None of you leave spirit. That's your natural state. You are just dreaming that you've left. That's what physical reality is. A portion of your greater being in non-physical reality is pretending that it's no longer in the spirit realm. But you are there. Right now, the greater portion of you. And this portion that is seemingly the whole of your identity as a physical being, to the version of you that is in spirit right now, is just about the same as the size of your fingernail. That's your physical being, to the spirit that you are. Do you understand? So just like you wake up in the morning from a dream, yes? Is that painful?
No.
Well, then same idea. You're just going to wake up and go, oh, that seemed so real, but now I know that was just a dream and this is who I actually am. Yes?
Yeah.
Does that sound more preferable?
Yeah.
All right. Then it can be that way for you. Unless, of course, you choose to be a masochist.
Yeah, I'd prefer.
And feel like you need to punish yourself for something at the end of your life. Is that something you believe you need?
No.
All right. Then there is no need to experience that. Yes?
Yeah.
Can be over in a blink. In fact, if you really are actually at any point in your life done, all you have to do is lie down and close your eyes and say, I'm ready to go. And then count to 10. If you can open your eyes at the end, you're not done. Because it can be that easy if you actually are done. You can just say, I'm done. Lie down, close your eyes, and go. Yes?
Yeah.
Is this helping?
Yeah, it's helping.
Oh, all right. You feel a little bit more relaxed about your death?
A little bit. Yeah.
If you want, we will be happy to show up at the moment of your death with pitchforks.
You could show up, but maybe no pitchforks. Just, a friendly hello.
But we would only do that to make you laugh. And that way you get to die laughing.
There you go. That'd be cool. So my last question is, so I'm understanding that everything is choice. And I've heard you speak a lot when it comes to just how we believe, for instance, when it comes to like illness. And for me, I have, disease or dis-ease. And, it's not my preference. I mean, I really wish I could just switch to a parallel reality where
Well,
it's
but the idea is if it's happening, there is something for you to get out of it. So when you learn the lesson of why that's there, then it will no longer need to stick around. Things only stick around when you refuse to learn the lesson of why they're happening.
Yeah, so maybe that's where I'm stuck.
Well, it's not stuck. You're thinking that it's not important for you to investigate why that's there. But it is. It's not about changing it to something else. It's about understanding why it exists as it does and what the belief systems are within you that are generating that experience. When you use it up, it will no longer be there. It only sticks around when you don't use it for the purpose you created it, to bring your attention to something you need to pay attention to about how you're creating that kind of an experience. Find the belief systems that underlie it, realize that they don't belong to you and never did, that they're irrelevant for you, and let them go. Then you will not be diseased with yourself.
So, I don't know. I understand that, I guess, on a
Do you?
conceptual level. I feel like that answer, I get a lot of frustration from that because I feel like there's something I'm not seeing. It's
Yes.
almost like it's a blind spot or something, and
But it's not a blind spot. You just refuse to look there because you're afraid to look there, because the negative belief is making you believe that you shouldn't look there or something worse will happen. You need to ignore the negative belief. You need to see it as a trick, as smoke and mirrors. You need to see through the illusion that the negative belief is pushing on you because it's simply attempting to preserve itself. So there is nothing to be afraid of in looking to find out why you may have generated that experience. You'll only find some wonderful discovery about yourself that will allow you to expand. That's all you will ever find if you really, really look. There's nothing to be afraid of in looking, even though the negative belief may wish to make you believe that there is. You have to know that that's a trick. Yes?
yeah,
May I ask you a question?
yeah.
Do you believe you are worthy of your life? Or do you feel unworthy?
I want to say I feel worthy.
Say again.
I want to say that I feel worthy.
You want to say that you feel worthy,
Yeah,
which means you don't,
I guess so.
correct?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So what belief system do you have that you're holding on to that says you are not worthy of living an ecstatic life? Why do you believe that you deserve to feel unworthy? What are you afraid will happen if you allow yourself to feel completely worthy?
I think I'm afraid of realizing my greatness or like my bigness.
Because what do you think will happen if you do? What are you afraid will happen if you realize your greatness?
I think that I'll get, like somehow I'll fail at that, or like I'll get big and doing my passion and having all this great stuff happening for me, and then the shoe's gonna drop.
Well, maybe you shouldn't wear shoes then. But you understand that that's not a fact, it's just a belief. Because certainly as you live your passion, one of the things your passion does is bring your attention to things that are not your passion. But that's not a shoe dropping, that's part of the process of discovering more of your passion. To discover things that are not your passion is part of your passion. So let that be part of the process. And be okay with what comes to your attention that is not your passion. That's not a shoe dropping. You don't have to define it that way. By defining it that way, you're experiencing it as a negative. Define it as a positive. Oh, my passion just brought my attention to something that is not my passion. Oh, goody. Now I can clarify by letting that go and adding that energy to my overall passion. So thank you, passion, for bringing my attention to something that is not my passion. Yes?
Yeah.
It's a very different way of looking at it than thinking, oh, the shoe's going to drop and everything's going to fall apart and, oh my goodness gracious. You're the one setting yourself up for that pain by defining it as something wrong when it happens, instead of exploring with fascination and curiosity why it happened and what you can get out of it, what you can learn from it. Nothing happens by accident. It's an orchestration. There is always something you can learn if you stay in a positive state. Is this helping at all?
Yeah, and when you were speaking, I feel like I just got the message of, I realized that I'm afraid of experiencing pain, but
Yes.
but
you know what? But you know what? That's a lie. Do you know why it's a lie? Because you're creating pain with yourself right now.
I know, that's what's so ironic. It's
That's
like,
the paradox,
that's what I'm
yes.
doing, yeah.
So obviously you're not afraid of creating pain, otherwise you wouldn't be holding on to beliefs that allow you to feel pain.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. Yeah.
there you go.
Cool.
So now that you understand that you're not afraid of pain, use the pain. Use the beliefs in a way that allows you to be pain-free by accepting the fact that at first you're actually generating pain for yourself by your own choice. Then you're in control, because if it's not by your choice, you can't change it. So own it, acknowledge that you're creating the pain, obviously, because you're holding on to beliefs that make your life feel painful, and then ask yourself, well, do I really need this anymore? Is there something else to learn from this other than learning to stop doing it? And then stop doing it. And live life in a different way, and learn things in a way that isn't painful. Yes?
Yes,
Is this helping?
very much so. Thank you.
There will also be others who will help you in your dream state if you ask for it.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you for playing with us. This is fun.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
Thank you. To beautifully tail off what you were just explaining with Rebecca and her fear of dying.
Yes. Her fear of pain, not dying.
Correct. So you are a beautiful teacher who was explaining a knowing of the ease and beauty that exist with her decision to wake up.
Yes.
I personally have experienced a near death and
exciting.
understand that knowing. Other people use drugs, DMT, to have those experiences or that knowing. once we reach that knowing, I mean, you give us manuals. Is there, like in your reality, is there a higher level that's giving you an instruction manual, for example? Like,
Yes, the higher consciousness of the Sirius civilization is our mentor.
oh, that's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Okay, speaking of that, I have a question. For the last couple of weeks, I've had a really intense, strong ringing in my ears that will not go away.
No, all right.
And in a dream, I was being shown a dolphin and how their sonar works and how they communicate and how humans do similar things with our energy that we can communicate and project energetically, but
Yes.
that unlike dolphins, it could possibly be from our ears. Like ears are not only receivers, they actually transmit, and that perhaps the ringing is coming from me, not to me.
Energy can translate into that kind of ringing sometimes, so the answer and the solution is to use the energy,
How
to use
so?
it to communicate with them. So go to them.
Okay.
Go to them and open up and reverse the ring. Send the energy instead of receiving it. Flow it through you. Yes?
Okay. Thank you.
Does that help?
It does.
Does it
very
ring a
much
bell?
so. It does. Thank you.
Anything else?
One more silly question.
Silly question.
Yes. I recently discovered in astronomy there's a constellation called the Swan,
Yes,
Cygnus. My
Cygnus.
last name is Swan.
Yes.
Are there any beings, or is it in a constellation that beings are associated with, just for fun?
Well, understand first and foremost, of course, that constellations only look like they do from your perspective in space.
Were the names, did we come up with the names, or they were given to us?
No. You came up with them.
Okay.
Because they are your perspective.
Oh, correct.
Because from other places in space, those constellations don't look anything like they look from your point of view on Earth. Because those stars that make up a constellation are very far apart from one another. And from another point of view over here, they may look nothing like they look to you from over here. But there is a civilization associated with one of the stars in that constellation, yes.
And who are they?
I can't tell you that yet.
Okay.
It's not time.
Okay. Final question, also silly. There were some ancient texts I came across recently that said it referred to a time before the moon was here. Was the moon brought to us?
Proselines.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. The idea is your moon has been around your world for a long time. But there was a civilization that couldn't see it. They were in a different reality. Therefore, they talk about a time before there was a moon until they changed the vibration to match the frequency of the remainder of your Earth civilization, and then they could see the moon. But it was there. It was just out of their range of perception.
Okay.
Yes?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
And by the way,
Yes.
your questions aren't silly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello and thank you.
Good day.
I only found out about you 2 weeks ago when I was in
I only just found about you right now.
I was in Sedona, staying at Bell Rock, and my friend.
Speak up, speak up.
I'm sorry. I was in Sedona, staying near Bell Rock, and my friend explained who you were, and
Yes.
I think we had an experience.
All right.
But my question is, how do you experience the angelic realm?
We experience the idea you call the angelic realm as the first reflection of all that is to itself. Does that make sense in your language? Do you understand that the one has no experience of itself? It is completely homogeneous, is completely unaware of itself. There is no self-awareness in the one except for the portion of the one that is self-aware, which we call all that is, which sometimes you call God, goddess, what have you, source. The only way that that happens, that self-awareness happens, is when there is a reflection of an other to compare the self to. Without a reflection of an other, there is no sense of self. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So the idea is that the first reflection that happens in the one that has no self-awareness creates self-awareness, which we then call the all that is. And the first reflection, all that is, has of itself beyond that point you call the angelic realm. It's like the first split off vibration of all that is. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Gratitude.
Yes.